Yeah, let me give the brief introduction, and then from there you can take over.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Welcome all to MFID weekly session. So we are privileged to have Brother Yussuf, who come from the supply chain management background. So he's a senior professional in supply management, next level purchasing, and he's a lean certified professional as well. Overall, 10 plus years of experience in P2P and S2P, having the ability to manage supply chain efficiently and effectively to meet global sourcing standard. He has worked with different verticals and different geography. I think we have a great personality here to share his knowledge with us. So over to you. Before that, one more thing I would like to uh, convey to all the participants here. So we can keep our questions till the end. Let the presenter take us through all his slides, and we can go through the Q&A. And if there is a need in between and presenter felt that he want to ask few questions, he can go for that. But just to go with the smooth presentation, I think we can allow the question answers later. So if you are getting any questions, you can keep on putting those questions in the chat window. And keep track of those. And request participants to go on mute. Since it being Sunday, we are at home, new normal. So this is the etiquette we need to have. So we'll keep ourselves mute. Only when there is a need, we'll unmute ourselves and then talk. Okay. And for your information, so the recording will be available in tinyurl/mfird. Okay. So after a couple of days, so be patient there. Okay, over to you, Yusuf Bhai.
All right. Thank you so much, Jazakallah Said Bhai. So I will start with sharing my screen here. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hi, all of you, brothers and sisters. Myself, Mohammad Yussuf. I hope you all can see my screen now.
One more thing, just I request participant to rename yourself so that we have the names there. I see some iPhone and some characters, I think. So it will be good if we can add our city as well. That will be helpful. Thank you. Okay, Jazakallah, Yusuf Bhai.
Yeah, sure. So I hope everyone can see my screen. All right. So I will begin with a small introduction about myself here. My name is Mohammad Yussuf. I have completed my MBA in operations. I am a certified SPSM professional in supply chain management from Next Level Purchasing. I have overall 10 plus years of experience. This experience is working with various verticals. Verticals is in the sense, business industries. Like I was part of automotive. I was part of GE business. I was part of healthcare business, power and water, energy sector, oil and gas, and aviation business. Also healthcare and multiple consulting firms. Have worked with multiple consulting firms in terms of supply chain management. And I have been supporting, various geographical locations like US, Middle East, Europe, Asia Pacific regions for their procurement and sourcing related requirements. So my expertise is into sourcing, procurement operations, vendor management, and vendor governance. I have also been part of accounts payable projects, spend analytics projects, and contract management related. And also with I'm also Lean Six Sigma certified, and have been part of some implementations, ERP implementations and catalog management throughout my career. And today I'm here to share my experience, knowledge that I have gained throughout this journey in my 10 years. and I would would like to share this and see all the newcomers or people could get benefit out of it. Today we are here to share our knowledge, and inshallah to see ourselves growing in upcoming years, and to reach a level where we also tomorrow you also can go ahead and share your knowledge to others similar fashion. Okay, so what you will have outcome from this program today here is we have what is supply chain. So most of us would not know what is a supply chain, what is a supply chain network, what is a supply chain management, what are the things that you can explore from here, what is a supply chain career that you can get, you explore in the market. When we talk about supply chain, what are the technical and functional roles, how is supply chain divided, segregated between technical and functional roles, and some references, links so that you can go back, upgrade your knowledge. There are some links where you can learn something, ERPs, various ERPs that you do not usually get from the market. Okay, so this is the overview of the training about myself. So we will slowly move on to the next page here. What is supply chain to begin with? So you might supply chain is a very common term in today's world. You might see everything is linked with each other. There's a network. There is not only with coming to supply chain as a subject, but you see everything is linked, interconnected with all the other businesses, verticals. There is a network throughout all the flow of transformation or a business engagement in this world. So supply chain management is basically a study of flow of goods, you can say a flow of goods or raw materials from the time where there is a demand from the customer, and from the time there is a demand from the customer, how do you initiate those demands, how do you analyze those demands, how do you fulfill those demands. So the entire network consists of supply chain management. So here we have some management. So management is represented as your businesses who are who has a key stake into the decision, or stakeholders in who plays a very important role in making such decisions. So for example, say if a new car has to be launched into the market, so a company decides, a management decides what kind of a car should be pushed into the market that could facilitate or meet the requirements of the customer. Is it going to be a 5-seater? Is it going to be a 7-seater? Is it going to be 12-seater? So the management, the company decides what kind of a demand has to be fulfilled according to the requirements of a customer. A customer can be anyone, end user, or it could be a business to business. So there are two types of engagement usually. It's one is a retail or B2C, which is business to customer, and we have other business to business. Here the management, the company decides what are the products or solutions. Basically, when we talk about supply chain, let's keep it to the products, goods as of now. We also have goods and services. It's usually goods and services. Some companies offer goods, some companies offer services. So when we a company has to understand what is its products going to be in the market that could fulfill its customers' demands. So to for management, the whole point motive is to produce those requirements like services, and there is a make profit out of it. And there is another team who comes into a picture when they do analysis. They do analysis because since supply chain is not just the supply chain, 3 words, transaction. Supply chain is a very vast subject that anyone could think of. It's a very vast subject. It consists of a lot of operations, verticals, different divisions, departments. So there is an analysis to be done in terms of how the logistic is going to be planned. What is the lead time to buy in those raw materials? What is the lead time to ship those materials? Logistic. How do you plan to ship your logistic? What is the ideal logistic mode that you can opt for? And then you have to plan it. Then you have to plan your approach, and then accordingly you plan up your distribution. If it is like Amazon, you have DMart, you have all this e-commerce, Flipkart, and e-commerce, and then your retail businesses. So these people also have to not only have to look at the buying it, also distributing it. So every different company plays a different role in the supply chain management. And there is a procurement. Procurement is also a very important role, a department of any organization which is a matured organization, in terms of deploying their procurement professionals, or procurement intelligence to gain the benefit out of the market, out of the engagement, any engagement or any transaction, you can say. And end of the day, the whole point is to get the profit. The profit is for a company, a manufacturing company, is how much is he selling and how much the profit margin is he making out of after all the expenses that incurs, the company incurs. And for procurement guys, for the retail companies, it is other ways where they have to understand, ensure that there's a profit coming out. They're making their profits by saving the cost to the company. So basically, by the definition, if you go by the definition, what is supply chain? Supply chain encompasses of all activities associated with the flow and transformation of goods from the raw material stage. So from the raw materials, say, if I have to build a car, what are the raw materials that I need to procure? The steel, the windshields, the wipers, the engines, the tire, the entire setup. So I have to analyze my overall setup cost to manufacture one car and to produce it to the market. This also incurs the cost for the marketing, the cost for sales. So there are various aspects that you have to consider, and then it comes a final product, and there will be a final price to it. Say I have a car which will cost me about 10 lakhs. What is the total cost that I am incurring to build that car and to push it into the market, that will make the customer pay 10 lakhs for it? Do I have a good quality build? Do I have a good seating capacity? Do I have a good reliable engine on this? So there is various aspects that you have to consider before taking a decision in supply chain. Supply chain is, though it is a very easy word to say, but there is lot of effort goes into it. Lot of effort goes into it. So since not most of them go explore this field, but there is a good opportunity here to those who want to explore this opportunity. So I'll talk about, say, raw material. Raw material here is, like as I said, if I have to buy a car, produce a car. So what are the raw materials that I'm going to procure? How am I going to ship it to my production manufacturer? Who are my suppliers? So if I have to buy a steel, if I have to buy tires, if I have to buy glasses, seats, and all those, so who are my suppliers here? So I have to identify my raw materials here. Then I have to identify who are my suppliers, who are potential suppliers. I might have 100 suppliers, but I might have only 5, 10, or about 20% of suppliers who are really contributing to my spend and who can make a difference for me while producing this car. So I have to identify such suppliers, have an engagement with them, have back-end activities on this. So I'll be coming to it. So I have to identify my suppliers. Then I get those suppliers to ship those raw materials to my manufacturing industries, where I manufacture the final finished product. When I say my final finished product, it is basically the car. End of the day, the car is going to be produced at my manufacturing plant. So the car is produced there, and once it is assembled, I ship it back to the distributor, or the reseller, or my reseller partners. Like you find a lot of partners, showrooms, Advait Hyundai, so Bajaj showrooms. So these are your basic distributors, resellers. So you manufacture those, you send it to the distributor, or you send it to the retailer, and it goes to the end consumer, who buys it at the end of the day and gives you the cash in return to those purchases that he's made. So this is how the supply chain looks like at a very high level. And then we'll move on to supply chain. There are the areas, like we have a lot of supply chain areas. So this is a small graphical picture that I've brought in here. So let's talk about supply chain areas. So what are supply chain includes of? It includes of new product development. So what is new product development here is deciding or deciding of a product that has to be launched into the market. It could be a different product. Depending on the requirement of the market or the need of the market. What is system management? We also have a system management. When we talk about system management, basically system management is about since the supply chain is a very big network area that requires a lot of professionals, people, professionals coming from expertise, knowledge, people. We have to manage it in a very very professional way, where each and every operational activity or task that we take up contributes to, has a dependency on another task for completion. Say I have ordered a raw material, and I being a procurement guy, I have ordered a raw material for my production or manufacturing plant, and without sharing the knowledge, or without sharing the information as when the raw material will arrive for them to initiate their production, I cannot coordinate and align the processes there. So it is important for me to have a system management in place. So when I order, I should have a one system, or one system which is potential enough to pass on this information from one area, one department to other department. I, procurement guy, order some raw material and ensure that the raw material delivery is communicated to my production team, so that they also have their production plans or production operations in place according to the raw material that has been received from the supplier. So we need a proper systems, ERP systems, you call it as ERP system, to manage these kind of operations. Without a proper ERP systems, you cannot, communication cannot be flowed. You cannot track the information. You cannot evaluate or analyze the information, or or your operations, how it is performing. What is the improvement area that you can bring in to the whole as a process. And at the same time, you also need to have a good operations and assembly structure. Okay. So when I say operations and assembly structure here, operations and I cannot just buy in my raw material, dump it somewhere in some manufacturing plant A, and I have a production happening at a manufacturing plant B. So this might cause a disturbance in the entire process. The time is consumed, and there's a lot of activities getting delayed just because of these operations. So it is also important to have a good operations and assembly structure, the sense in to avoid such delays and costs that can incur. Say if I am supposed to deliver 100 cars to the market in a month of one in a period of 1 month, and my raw material is stuck at some location, XYZ location, and it is not getting reached, though I have reached it, received it from the supplier, the whole operations are getting delayed. The entire process is getting delayed. So to avoid such issues, we have to ensure that a good structure operations planning is also done. So these, and then comes a purchasing. So then coming to a purchasing, what is purchasing? So purchasing or procurement, sourcing is another key, very key, key team who makes a decision to ensure these there's a right price that you're paying to those raw materials. See, I have a XYZ item that I am supposed to buy it for rupees 100, which has a market value of 100 rupees. But at the end of the day, I go pay 200 or 300. I'm paying excess to that vendor without doing a market intelligence or doing a proper intelligence or a governance, and I am pushing my company into a loss. To avoid such loss, we need a purchasing department who has a purchasing, procurement, sourcing capabilities to put a process in place, and to ensure that these processes are followed and a proper operational structure is followed, purchasing operational structure is followed, to ensure that the company is paying the right money, right value for the goods that they are procuring, and to avoid such losses. Then we have production scheduling. In production scheduling, we also have to understand how many, basically production scheduling deals with how many units that I need to produce in my, to get the effective capacity of my production plan. I have a plan where I am producing, XYZ number of cars, biscuits, or anything, any, you take any example of a manufacturing industry, you have to produce a goods, a quantity of goods, and you see that you are, producing a less amount of goods in, given amount of time, though you have a capability of, meeting more demands or more production capability, but you are producing it on you are not, your production is quite low in terms of what is your demand. So you are not, utilizing your capabilities, your skills, or your setup to such a high extent that you can get benefited out of it. Again, there is a cost involved, and you are, causing a loss to the company, to the organization, or to the entire vertical. So you have, this is very important for you also to analyze how much cost is involved. How can you, evaluate your cost for productions, how many resources has to be involved for a certain, for a certain production, how many employees have to work in a different shift if you have to, catch up to that extent. So you have to understand your production capabilities. You have to schedule your production capabilities according to that way. How many people can work in a morning shift? How many people can work in an afternoon shift? How many people can work in a night shift? How many people can go in a break? How many machines are working? How much time is, incurred to produce one product? And how much cost can, time and cost can be incurred if you're producing it, X number of goods. It can be 100,000, whatever is the number. So it is important for you to evaluate your production scheduling cost as well. So and then we have order processing. So once what is order processing? So basically order processing is basically once you get a, confirmation from your sales team. Sales supply chain management consists of your sales as well. So supply, marketing, sales. So your sales team gives you a confirmation saying that okay, there are two various aspects for it. One is you get an order from your sales team saying that I have this order to be delivered. I have 10 cars to be delivered to a retailer or a reseller here in the market. So I upload that order into my system. Accordingly, once the requirement is uploaded in the system, there are, if you have a very matured ERP system, it triggers it triggers a notification to the purchasing, it triggers a notification to production team and transportation team and all the other teams, verticals, saying that I have a requirement for 10 cars that needs to be delivered by the end of the April. So how do I cope up? So purchasing team, gets a notification. They evaluate the, they evaluate the total cost for the 10 cars. They say that I have to buy so much of steel. I must buy so much of carbon fiber. I might have to buy so many tires, number of tires. So they evaluate the cost and they get a notification and they start planning, doing a planning. Or there is a planning team who does the planning based on the orders they have received, the purchase, the orders they have received for the company. Now, once they have received the order, after doing the planning, entire planning, they send out saying that there's a separate planning team. So they send out a notification to the purchasing team. Hey team, go buy these many numbers of tires, these many numbers of raw material, to finish this. The purchasing team goes, buys those from market, and simultaneously a notification is triggered for production team to ensure the employees are, available, and the production capability, the production is being up and running to meet those new cars for the customers. And simultaneously, the logistics teams has also been notified to understand that, okay, how do I pick up those 10 cars? Do I drive it to the showroom, or do I book a carrier or a cargo to ship those cars from my manufacturing facility to the respective locations, reseller locations? Do I have one reseller, or do I have to deliver it to multiple resellers? So the planning team evaluates all these aspects, different aspects of the supply chain. And the inventory management, what does the inventory management do? They also try to see whether do I have excess. Say I have purchased some numbers, excess, and that's not been utilized in my last production. So inventory management is also a very important, team or a vertical that plays a critical role in supply chain network. Say, for example, you buy a lot of stuff. I go to a general grocery store or supermarket. I go buy hundreds of soaps or shampoos, and it is lying in my shelf. And again, every month I just go buy, and I'm just piling up my inventory there, right? So when I pile up my inventory, I'm not utilizing my inventory. I'm just spending unnecessarily by shelving those products. And instead of that, if I say, hey, to my family members, say, why do we go buy a shampoo or soap or any other grocery item which is still piling up in our shelves? Rather, we utilize those instead of buying in our next budget. Everyone must have a budget at home, right? Your father, your parents, or yourself. If you're working, you're a family member, you might have a budget saying that, okay, I have a budget, I need to spend about 10 to 15,000 or 5,000 or whatever excess amount of money on my family for grocery, for household stuff. So when I buy this, do I repetitively buy those stuff, or should I go look at my house, understand how many items are still lying on the shelf or cupboard, that I don't have to go procure it? Because if I have something which is already stored in the shelf and it is getting piled up, I'm unnecessarily spending my money on that. And also, not only the money, I'm also consuming that space at my home to store that goods, products. So why would I do that? I should have a proper inventory management. I should have a clear visibility of what is my current stock. And this is how you can manage your inventory. And then we come to a transportation is again basically, you have to analyze your best solution. It's not just the transportation. I call up some 10 trucks or 20 trucks to ship my goods. No, I should not be doing that. Why should I do that? I am just unnecessarily not utilizing my capabilities or my capacity. I have to, analyze in such a way that I need a proper number of trucks where I pay the correct amount of money for those movement of goods, and I utilize the capacity to an very effective manner here. So I need to have a proper transportation structure. I cannot. I have a big car. I cannot buy a small three-wheeler TT to move that car. When I have 10 cars to be moved to a location or reseller location, I cannot buy ask a small tempo traveler or small TT or a transport vehicle to ship my 10 cars, because I'm unnecessarily not planning my capacity well for transportation. When I need to ship 10 cars, I need to have a proper cargo, a 24-wheeler or a large cargo carrier to ship those cars. The small TT or a traveler cannot serve my purpose. So I have to properly plan, develop my transportation network as well. So it is important for me to have such professionals or people around me who can have a expertise or can help me build those, serve my requirement. And then comes warehousing. What do I understand by warehousing? So I have a lot of production happening at my manufacturing plant, and if I happen to keep those finished products, say I have cars being produced, I keep by storing at my manufacturing plant, it all gets piled up. I'm not utilizing my space, production space. When I talk about production plant, it should only serve my purpose of production, getting the raw material and making it into a final product, finished product. And once the product is finished, I should move it to a location where my production is not hampered. If I happen to keep it at my production plant, so all my things are getting clustered, and I do not have space for my employees. I do not have my space for new cars coming and getting produced. To for you will not have that proper space area to have a proper flow of raw material. So everything gets piled up. Your space is getting blocked. So a warehouse where you can save those. You know that's why if you happen to see this, you might have read in the newspaper that there are a lot of cars being unsold cars being lying in inventory warehouses. So what manufacturing industry does, or automotive industry does, after they produce these cars, they try to push it to the warehouse where they can go save it, store it, or store those things. And it can be they can be a proper security provided to where this, so that there's no damage or hamper to it, and it does not consume your area. So you also have to do a proper warehousing planning. So warehousing planning depends on different verticals of the industries. You can like automotive cars require a lot of space, open area, covered area, so that your cars which is being produced does not get hampered, or engines does not get destroyed and due to natural calamities and all that. So you have to plan it that way. And then comes other different kinds of products, where like retail products. You have say for example, you have your machineries, like machineries like, for example, say you have your grinder. So how many grinders can you save it in a shelf? I have an area, 1,000 square feet, or 10,000 square feet, or 20,000 square feet area. How much capacity, how many racks can I bring in? What is the capacity of each rack to store different weightage of machines, different machines in one rack? So I say I have a rack about which can store five machines or five grinders on it. So how many grinders can I uh, have racks I can have vertically? So you have to understand how can you get most out of it from your warehousing option, your warehousing capabilities. So you have to utilize your warehousing in such a fashion that you do not pay extra money for it. You do not, your end of the day, we all have a motive here. End of the day, your purchasing team has a motive, your production team has a motive, your order processing team has a motive, transporting, everyone is a key member of your supply chain network here. So your warehousing also has to evaluate, understand, define such procedures, plans, facility design, to ensure that you have full capability. You are utilizing your capability at the fullest. Then we also have a customer service. Customer service is basically about we have I call up Dell. For example, I have a laptop that I've been placed. I purchased a laptop from Dell. I call up Dell. I'm sorry. I call up Dell saying that I placed the order. Hey Dell or Amazon. Hey folks, I have placed an order for a laptop, and I wanted to know what is the status. That's where the customer service comes in place. I have already placed an order, I've already received the order, and it's been a faulty. So I have to understand who is going to be the point of contact in such case. If I have a customer service, it really helps me. It helps me not only in building a good relationship with my customers. It becomes a bridge to facilitate all my engagement with vendors, suppliers, customers. So customer service is, end of the day, here is fulfilling your requirement to match those, communicate, or help you expedite, escalate, provide resolution to your requirements, and portray a company in a very positive manner in front of all your stakeholders. When I talk about, say, stakeholders is basically, say in your family you have a decision maker and you have multiple decision makers. So those people, multiple decision makers, are nothing but a stakeholder. I am a stakeholder because my father is a stakeholder because he's the head of the family. My mother is a stakeholder because she is a second head of the family. So you have to have multiple concurrences from these stakeholders saying that, okay, let's come to a final conclusion, and let's have so you are benefiting to the company. I see, I buy a Dell product, or some XYZ product from some company, and I happen to see that my customer service is not up to the mark. I buy the product, I don't get a proper feedback, I don't get a proper response from them, no proper support. I am at a loss. I will never go back and buy that product again, and it is a failure to the company. And the company shall start failing and does not lead to any profits in the market. And if the company does not perform well, we are also going to struggle at the end of the day. So it is all interconnected, everything is interconnected. So it is important for organizations, every manufacturing industry, or any organization, to have a proper customer service support to fulfill the customers' demand, vendors' demand, or a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues coming up, which I'll take you through as we go further on the presentation. And there's also another important area which is called import export. Import export is also a very important area where a set of professionals carry out these operations. So they because there's lack of raw materials. You might have heard that China get a lot of raw materials from India, and simultaneously India buys a lot of IT products from other regions. So this is basically about import and export. There are a lot of background to it. You might say, okay, this is just import export. I go place an order, somebody will deliver it. Yes, somebody will surely deliver it to you, but there's a lot of background operations happening at which you do not have a visibility. So when I as a professional IT professional, if I happen to go buy some raw material, or some machineries or IT equipments from different location from outside India, then I have to follow certain procedures, regulations as defined by the government. I cannot just go buy those materials and get it to India. I have to follow certain procedures, regulations. So, what are such regulations? So, I have to understand whether first does the government allow me to import such items. There are a lot of restrictions. You cannot import each and anything that you want to import from outside countries. There are a lot of regulations. Every country in the world has different import and export regulations. So you have to align yourself if you have to explore import and export vertical or expertise. So different countries work with have a different structure or regulations. So you have to understand what does India has a regulation, what are the products that I can import, what are the products I can export. So if I have to import raw material which I cannot get it in India, what is the charges that I have to pay, what are the custom duties I have to pay, and how much tons or containers and am I going to bring into the India. So how much is it going to incur? Am I going to use a air freight? So freight comes in picture. So what is my mode of transport? Is it going to be air transport or sea transport? So what is the best cost beneficial for me? Though sea transportation, sea freight charges are relatively low in terms of cost, but this takes months and months for us to get it delivered because it has to travel through the sea. So what are the factors that can impact? So if say you happen to see a cyclone coming in, are my ships getting delayed? What if these raw materials are not getting delivered? Are my operations going to have an impact? What are the risks? What is the insurance that I need to bring in? What say I have imported some raw material and I do not happen to buy insurance for those, and the ship happens to, unfortunately, God forbid, the ship goes sinking, and then I am at a loss. I have paid for goods and I have not received it. My production is getting impacted. My systems are not working. My management is escalating these issues. So I have to analyze all these aspects to make any decision for import export. And say after producing, now if you happen to see Maruti is producing a lot of Maruti Suzuki Jimny, and they are trying to export it to the international market, since Japan or Japan did not have the capacity to produce fully produce it, could not produce it to fullest of its capacity. So they brought all the set up. They did set up a plant in India, and they started producing this new car which is going to launch sometime quickly in India as well. So they try to all the cars that is being produced in India are shipping abroad. So why is it that happening? What is the export regulations for India to have it manufactured in India and exported to the other countries, European countries? So there are a lot of things that you have to consider before making a decision. And these areas are not a small subject. There are a lot. It is a vast subject. So again, I'm talking about here in my next slide. What is planning? What is forecasting? Planning is again there's a set of professionals or a team who determines what is the sales coming in, what is the purchases that has to be made, and who is going to play what role, and who's your key important teams. What action has to be performed by each different team. So as such, you have a planning team who does the planning part of it for your organization or at your home. This implies that your daily daily routine as well, daily tasks. So planning is a very key team in terms of because as when you do any as when you have any plans or you want to execute something, you have to first go and do a proper planning. If you plan to fail, you plan to execute. So basically, if you need to have a proper planning at a first level. After you do a proper planning, you also have to work with forecasting team. Forecasting team has to determine that, okay, say in 2019 I have received order of 500 cars. 2019 is 500 cars, and 2018 is about 600 cars. So and 2017 is 400 cars. So the forecasting team is determining or evaluating, doing analytics, again analytics there, to understand how is your forecast going to be for 2020 or 2021. So you have to ensure that forecasting is done. Why is forecasting is supposed to be done? If I happen to forecast my requirement properly, if I happen to I say I'm doing a forecast to determine how much is required, what is required, and what time is required, I can save a lot. For example, say I'm supposed to buy some raw material or steel or metal or something to build a house, and if I do not plan it, if I'm again to a construction industry, if I do not plan my steel procurement, and in coming 6 months I happen to get a market intelligence that okay, the steel cost is going to increase, I'm going to pay double of it. I end up paying double of what I could have paid. Say I am 40 rupees is per kg. If I do not do a proper forecasting, understand saying that though I knew that I need XYZ tons of steel for my next project, and I do not plan it or do not forecast it, and later I realize the cost has increased, I'm making a big mistake. When a 40 rupees kg steel, when there was a time where I could make a proper forecast and I could have analyzed my requirement and could have gone and procure, and which I did not, and which I let it go. And when the right time comes, when I in the need of the steel or certain
डीमार्ट जाएंगे ना वहां से दिखेगा
शाम में लाएंगे ना, शाम में। हाँ
अभी तब तक नहीं मिला है ना, मामा ने ढूंढे नहीं मिला।
दो जगह देखे ना अपन वहाँ पे दुकान में, नहीं मिला ना। नहीं उन्होंने कहा चलते।
हेलो हेलो Okay, so thank you. So proper forecasting will allow you to do a proper planning and help you to buy all those. If I have to buy a number of cement, so a proper planning can help you avoid such situations, avoid such market risk if the prices increase, if the prices fluctuate. So you can do a forecasting. What is analytics? Analytics is upcoming subject in the industry. So you happen to see there's a lot of boom coming up, data analytics, spend analytics, this analytics, that analytics. Analytics was already, let me tell you, this analytics was already part of supply chain or any business from past. This is not a new subject which is coming to the market. It has been in the market since years and years. The only lack we had was we did not explore it to the fullest. Now you see a lot of Python programming, R programming coming up. They are running a lot of algorithms. We have a lot of tools, Tableau, and all this R programming, all such tools coming up on the Power BI that helps you analyze the data. If you, I can just sometimes analyzing the data, putting charts, information in a representative manner can help you make more quick decisions. Okay, so for example, say this is a chart here. Okay, this is a pie chart here, and this will allow me to quickly determine who are my key players, who has a majority of share. My 30%, 37% of share is with whom, 22% of share. So this is getting advanced. Your analytics is getting advanced. You can analyze how you are performing, what is your spend, how are your each department performing. So analytics is getting matured these days. You see that coming in every day, and that's why it has been a boom in the industry these days. And we also see operations. So you have to plan up your operations, as I told you earlier. You have to every vertical, your production team, your purchasing team, your forecasting team, planning team, every operations, import export team, warehouse, logistics, every team has to have proper operations. Operations is basically you are defining a process, what process has to be followed, and what is the process will take your least time and give you the maximum profit out of your contribution to that individual vertical. If I have to get operations running in planning, how many members do I need? What is the number of people I need to get in for a planning team to do a proper planning to my entire production house? What is the forecasting team is required? So your operations, what is the process they are going to follow? What are the regulations they are going to follow? How is it the flow is going to happen? Who's going to report to whom? How is he going to escalate it to the next level? What are the chances? So your operations also plays a key role in making such decisions. You also so in operations you have Lean Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma comes in picture because you have Lean Six Sigma talks to you about how you can eliminate the waste. Waste is something where there is no requirement for you to spend your time, your efforts on that thing which does not add value end of the day. So I am supposed to go to a market, or I am supposed to go to a grocery store or a supermarket. Okay. But then my father or somebody asked me to go to supermarket, get the stuff. But what I do is while going to supermarket, I go to playground, I play sometime. I happen to meet my friend, I happen to do that. And then I basically I'm trying to spend some time here, there, and end of the day, by the end of the day in the night, I reach to supermarket, go get grocery and come back home. And this wonders, okay, when I come back home, my father, my mother, or whoever asked me, where have you been the entire day? Why did you spend the whole day when I just asked you to go get the grocery stuff from this market? I am spending my unwanted stuff, unwanted time, energy, time, and all this into unwanted stuff where my actual motive, goal was to go get the grocery from the supermarket. But I happen to already spend the day, my energy, my time throughout other activities. So lean will help you, having a lean knowledge will help you to determine what is the value that you are bringing to the customer, and what are the other operational tasks or activities which does not add value, and you're still going and wasting your time. So this will allow you to determine those things. Okay. And we have import export, where I've already taken you through how the import and export works, what are the regulations you have to follow. It's a very vast subject. You have to do your study on this. You have to, if you want to explore import export areas, you have to do a lot of study on this. Then comes warehouse management, proper utilization of space, movement of goods. How are you moving your goods to the warehouse when there's no demand in the market? How do you store those goods? Where do you shelf it? What are the proper what kind of utilization, storage designing has to be done? What is the optimal design that you can bring into the warehouse management that you can save your cost rather piling it up? Are you utilizing all your ensuring that the goods being stored in the warehouse is being tracked? And is it not getting destroyed? Say if I'm into FM, food and beverages, F&B sector, if I have warehouse where I have produced a lot of biscuits, chocolates, or grocery, and it is lying there at a warehouse without being pushed in the market, and those are getting expired, I'm taking a hit there. End of the day, the cost that I'm taking a hit is the space that's been utilized to store those biscuits or beverages, cool drinks. So that and the time, the storage, the capacity that I had spent on manufacturing of those cool drinks, foods, beverages. And then we have areas like so after that we have then my inventory dates are getting expired. The time that I've spend on getting the raw material, finishing it to the final product. So all these aspects are getting impacted with warehouse management. And we also have logistics management. What is my proper utilization of mode of transportation, whether a small truck is required, big truck is required. How do I make most out of it? Going to the next slide. let's talk about ERPs. So what is ERP? I must have taken you through that. There is a thing called which is called system management. System management is is part of ERP. What is your ERP? How do I do a ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So basically, what is ERP here is I'm getting an order here. If you happen to see, I'm getting an order from sales. I upload it on the tool or a customer portal. How is it gonna function? If I have a proper ERP in place, I can plan all these activities in a proper manner, in a proper structure, to ensure that all other activities are getting fully utilized. Without a proper system, say if I'm in olden days, olden era of running on papers, I am getting a order sitting at showroom, and I take an order from a customer saying that I need a car. I take it on a paper. And after 5 to 10 days, I send it to the postal service, or go manually and deliver it to the company. I don't know whom I need to deliver it. And I happen to go to the company Maruti and ask them to, hey, why don't you give me a car? This is my order. They happen to take that paper. They keep this paper. They communicate it to someone. There's no proper system. And all this was happening. The company guy did not happen to share this information, communicate this information to the other teams like purchasing team, manufacturing team, planning team, and other teams. And once if they've not received this communication, if the purchasing team does not have received the communication that there's a requirement for a new product or a car, they would not initiate the purchasing activities. If they do not require, if they have not initiated the purchasing activities, they'll say that I do not receive any communication from you to initiate the purchasing activity. And then the production team will come back saying that, hey, I did not receive a communication from a purchasing team or a planning team to initiate my production. Why should I start initiate my planning or production capability? So planning team will come back to me saying that, hey, I did not receive any sales order from you guys. Why should I initiate do a planning to initiate the other activities? So your entire networking supply chain network will fail. So that's where we have brought in a lot of ERPs. Though ERP looks again simple term here, but there are a lot of the things that you have to understand if you have to get in the right product. And because ERP will not come for a for a price of a cake. You have to spend dollars, huge amount of dollars to get an ERP in place. Nowadays you see a lot of new ERPs coming in. But if you have to get a proper system in place, you have to evaluate a lot of functions of that particular ERP. How is it going to help me in terms of gathering my sales order? Is it helping me to gather all the information, do a spend analytics, or basically analytics in coming future? Will it help me manage my distribution dashboards? Will it help my finance team? Finance team also plays an important role, because what happens in the industry is you buy it later, but before that there is some company who is going to already going ahead and investing on your requirement. I am the second person here who will be paying from my pocket. So company has to, our team, finance team has to sponsor that, pay that. Oh, hey, okay, my purchasing team wants some raw material to be procured for the production. So my finance team says, okay, fine, I go ahead and pay you this amount of money, you go ahead and purchase it. So my finance also has to, and it cannot be a situation where that I am just left with certain thousand billions of dollars, whereas my spend is coming into X multiple number of dollars, $billion. So I happen to again getting into loss. My company will get ruined in the market. I'll get a bad name. I'll be bankrupt if I'm just spending unwisely here. So I have to spend make my finance decisions in the right manner to utilize that spend. So does that my ERP gives me capability of building such function that building those capabilities that can serve my entire process as a whole. Then how does my manufacturing industry works? Is it fully in production? Are they receiving communication? So you need to have a proper ERP or enterprise resource planning systems in place to manage all these activities. ERPs can also help you with HRs and other more functions of your company, marketing and so on, sales and all that. So next, coming to ERP, when 1 second. So next page here is what ERPs, what are the leading ERPs? And so for the people who are new to ERPs, these are three major ERPs who play a very critical role or share in the market. SAP will be leading the foremost top first player to get the big market share. So SAP has a lot of modules. When I say modules, modules is nothing but function of a system which allows you to run those particular verticals. Say if I am buying a finance FICO, SAP FICO, I can run my finance operations. I can manage my operations. I can manage my spend. I can manage my accounts payable or accounts receivable. I can do a tally. I can do an inventory management. So basically, you have several other tools like Ariba. Ariba was initially a different company altogether, and about a few years back, Ariba was brought in by SAP. And Ariba has been a very demanding ERP, or not exactly an ERP, it's a part module here.
Right. For us to browse, okay.
I'm sorry.
Thing is that this.
I'm sorry. Does someone want to see something? Yeah. Okay. I think that was out of context. So anyways, so you have a lot of ERPs. I've just named a few here. I can help you with this. So Ariba was been biggest competitor for SAP and Oracle a few years back. So which is when SAP thought, okay, if I happen to remain a powerful giant in the market, I happen to acquire Ariba, and which they did, and they brought in Ariba. They started making a good profits, and they are doing really well in the market. And if you happen to take a understand how the Ariba functions, Ariba tool, what is Ariba and MM modules, now it is getting integrated with the MM module, so you have to understand all that. Once you understand that, you can explore your potential there. Then we also have Oracle. Oracle also had a lot of tools, SSP5, and then PeopleSoft management, and there were a lot of tools there, and which I'm currently working on SSP5. So we also have Microsoft Dynamics as again a tool which will allow you to do manage your finance projects, and plan your purchasing activities, spend, and so on. And there are a lot of other tools like IBM mainframes. That was a quite old tool there. And then we had then we have Bravo Solutions. Then we have iValve, and there are a lot of tools, and a lot of companies have depending on their budget size and spend, they have invested on these ERP systems. Okay, so these are some ERPs that we can to give you an overview of it. And then we have source to pay. Source to pay is basically this is my area where I have been part of throughout my career. So this is when it comes under purchasing. So what is source to pay? Source to pay is basically your a flow from starting from sourcing to payment to the vendor. So first you have to analyze this. We have three levels in it: strategic, transactional, and supporting level. So basically at strategic level, you do your strategic planning in terms of analyzing your budgets. What is the budget has been given to the individuals? How do I spend my budget? How do I procure raw material? If I have to go buy some, laptops or IT hardware, how much do I need to spend? How much? Who are the right vendors? How many vendors should I have? I cannot every time go buy it from a new vendor. It might create a hawk of having a risk with new vendors. What if I happen to place an order? I made a payment to XYZ vendor, new vendor, and this vendor does not turn up. So it allows me to do that entire analyzing and do a proper strategic sourcing, and just not a strategic sourcing. I also need to have a negotiation done. So I have 5 vendors, 3 vendors. So what are the different vendors offering me in terms of value to the goods that I'm goods or services that I'm buying? Am I negotiating a price with them? Am I negotiating a good amount? Am I not paying excess? You have to have those questions in your mind. See, when you go buy some stuff from market where you do not have a visibility, what you do is you go to 3 to 4 different stores to understand what is the price, what is the appropriate price. You go to a vegetable market, one must say that, okay, one seller may say that, okay, I have onion for about 150 rupees. Other might say I have onion for 80 rupees. Other might say I have onion for 90 rupees. So you're evaluating what is the price of those vegetables in the market. So you have to have a visibility of evaluating, have the skills to evaluate the cost of the products or the services in the market. You have to negotiate. If you feel that, okay, your L1 vendor is offering you a low cost but not offering you a good quality of services or quality of raw materials, you have to, it's not only always about the cost. And though if you have gone to a market and you happen to see that onion is available for 50 rupees as well, you might wonder, okay, I'm just saving a good money. I don't have to pay about 150 rupees for per kg. But end of the day, you realize that the quality of the onions are not really good. So similar fashion, you have to have the understanding, potential of understanding what are you paying. Are you paying for the right value of it? It is not always about the money that you save into the company or get out of the deal. Okay, it should be a win-win deal for you and to the vendor. So you have to understand, am I paying this value? Say if I have to pay 90 rupees, 90 rupees might be appropriate. I'm getting the worth, same quality of vegetables what I have been paying for 150 rupees. Okay, then I can make a decision to go with rupees 90. Another spending 150. So this way I am determining what is the right value, or the right value I am getting out of the deal or a requirement of or an engagement. So you have to have a proper engagement, negotiate it, evaluate all your requirements. You have to draft it well depending on each transactions or project. Put a contract in place, yes, saying that okay, you promise me to pay, give me this kind of onion or vegetables and this kind of a stuff, and I want to have this in my if I have to buy 50 bags of this, you will ensure this, you're going to give me the same quality. If there is any defect, what is the clauses, what is the penalty clauses, how much fine do you have to pay? So you have to put in a contract in place. Contract will help you stay strong in case if you have legal disputes with the vendor or any of your partners. And how do you manage supplier relationship? Supplier relationship is basically about how your each vendor is tracking. Say I have a vendor who's a very good vendor, but all the time he ensures he gives me a good price, he gives me everything. He's the best vendor. He gives me a best price, everything. But when it comes to delivery, he delays it by like 15 days or 30 days, which is again causing an impact on my production. My production is getting delayed. I'm incurring a loss. I'm incurring a loss of employees, wasting their time and also and so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. So you have to understand, you have to build a good relationship with, vendors to ensure that you have to communicate them saying that, hey, you have been a very good vendor, or, you've been in a very good relationship, but you happen to delay at so and so problems, so and so issues. You have to improve in those areas. So your supplier relationship management comes in place. And you also can go visit vendors, understand how are their production capabilities. Are they abiding by the government laws, regulations? Are they not, are they environmental friendly? Are they there's no child labor involved? So all such things has to be considered before onboarding or considering any vendor. Are they part of CSR, customer corporate social responsibilities, part of engagement? So you have to manage all those, understand all those relationships. Are they do they have a production facilities where they are not impacting their they are not violating any employment labor laws, and also are they abiding to all those employment labor laws and so on. Then we have transactional activities. Transactional activities is basically about once all the strategic part is taken care, you initiate your purchase order. So I determine saying that okay, I have this set of vendors. I have negotiated or agreed or put a contract in place with these vendors. I am going to put a purchase order. I'm going to raise a purchase requisition. Purchase requisition will have various aspects like anybody in the company can go ahead and start raising a requisition saying that I am an employee of a company. If I don't have a proper processes, compliances in place, what I do is I might go place order without my managers information about it or his visibility on it, and I'm unnecessarily spending my money of company's money. So you have to have a proper structure in place. How is the purchase order PR going to raise? Who is approved? Is it approved? Is it in compliance with your sourcing? Has the sourcing confirmed you? Is it going to your next level of managerial approvals? And is the purchase order being generated for that? Is the purchase order being dispatched to the vendor? Has the purchase order been received by the vendor? Has he reviewed it? Is it as per the terms and agreement that has been agreed upon, the contract formulated? Then we have invoice. Then after the goods or services has been delivered, has an invoice coming from the vendor? Has he generated the invoice as per the purchase order that's been aligned with the purchase order? And then comes the payment. The payment is about you have certain policies like since it's large companies involved into it, you will negotiate with the vendors, have a terms and conditions. So what payment terms am I going to pay him? I cannot pay every vendor every time immediately after receiving the goods. So I should put in some contract conditions saying that I agree to pay you within this 30 days of credit or 60 days, 90 days, depending on how the organization is, how the organization functions. And how are you going to supporting teams? Supporting teams is basically a planning team, forecasting team, warehousing team, logistic teams, and so on team. So you have to basically collaborate all those. And what is a data-driven optimization? Data-driven optimization is basically about how are you gathering all this information? Are your planning team working? Basically, end of the day, you will be presenting it to the management who does the final who will bring in those enhancements to the processes or the teams if required at the organizational level. Then we have I'm sorry, this is again the same kind of things. Okay, we are 12:15, so I do not want to drag it so further. So again, this is the same kind of flow chart, basically a flow to show you how the the flow is happening, how the spend analysis is done, strategic sourcing is taken, comes in picture, contract management. After contract management, acquisition is reviewed, processed, and all that. Goes to purchasing team. Purchasing team reviews it, sends it to the vendor. Vendor reviews it, delivers it, makes up a PO receipt, then makes a payment. Payments comes out of it. And we have we'll come to our next segment here. What is why supply chain as a career? So now this is another important question to all the people here who are freshers, experienced people. I'm sure experienced people have a lot of visibility when it comes to freshers here. The reason why I would say supply chain as a career is basically you have a I would say you'll have the liberty, or you will have that advantage to work with all these MNC companies if you take up supply chain as career, because all the companies are running a supply chain internally, procurement, purchasing, planning internally in their organizations. So here you will see a set on my left hand side, or towards your left hand side, your Casper, Sky, Lenovo, IBM. They all have an internal procurement team, planning team, purchasing team. Because they are at the end of the day a manufacturing industry. They have a huge spend, billions of dollars to spend. So every company will have a team here who will run their show, of purchasing. So you will have a liberty, you will have that, opportunity to work for such big companies, MNC companies, if you take up supply chain as a career. And at the same time, if you happen to see at my right hand side, why supply chain, other segment of industries that you can work with is our consulting firms. There are a lot of consulting firms. Managing this such huge subject, supply chain management is not an easy task for someone. So what these people do is they bring in a lot of consulting firms like IBM, Capgemini. You have McKinsey, PwC, KPMG, EY. So these are Accenture, Deloitte. These are big, consulting firms, big consulting firms. So you can work with such people. The one advantage of working with this top consulting firms is you happen to gain a lot of expertise working with different verticals. You can understand how different industries are working. You can bring in a lot of expertise, experiences, knowledges, system knowledges, and so on. Business cases. So you have two options here. Either you work for manufacturing industries like MNCs, or either you can work for consulting firms. So this is what I'm sorry. So this is one reason why you can take a supply chain as a career. Okay, and then comes very quickly what are the functional roles? At functional role, what is how do we get into our roles aspect? So we have functional roles and technical roles. What is functional roles? We have sourcing, purchasing team, spend analytics, forecasting, warehouse management teams, vendor management, accounts payable, accounts receivable, process engineering. So these are quite teams who work at a functional level of these organizations. Since it is a functional requirement, they work at a functional level. But then we have a technical roles also in the supply chain. What are technical roles? How when we have an ERP implemented at an organizational level, we bring in a lot of project managers, implementation project managers. And then we have a support teams, ERP support teams who can be a L1 level of assistance. Then we have a ERP development team who is basically enhancing. You get a shelf product from the market, okay, but then you tailor it as per your requirement, as per your organizational need. So we bring in a lot of ERP developers who will customize your requirement. So usually a ERP implementation will take about 6 to 8 months on a very higher side. Usually it takes 3 to 6 months, but in case if required to be extended, 6 to 8 months or maximum 1 year or 2 years is what the duration is. So you have a ERP development team who develops your ERP. If I have a certain requirement, they tailor it according to my needs. And we have a business consultants. Business consultants is basically who has expertise into functional as well as technical roles. So if I have an understanding of how forecasting works, how purchasing works, how spend analytics, warehouse, vendor management, accounts payable, and all this works, so I should able to collaborate or integrate this information that I gather from functional team to a technical, push it into a technical role to have my tool work, software work in such a way that it meets my requirement. I have a requirement, say in that my purchase order has to come through CRM tool. It has to go to the planning team, and from the planning team, it has to go to the forecasting team, and then simultaneously planning and forecasting will have to. It has to go to cognitive. So basically, you have to gather those information from functional people. Put a flow chart in the process and pass it on to the technical team to have that tailored for you. And those are the role of a business consultant here. That comes what skills do you need? Then the important question comes in, what skills do you need for market? For functional roles, you have to have a market insight. So who's performing well? How are they performing? Who is getting? What are the aspects? How are the industry is going to impact? What, like for example, how did COVID impacted? Has the price increased? Has the price reduced? Is there any national natural disaster happening? Is there a cyclone hitting your countries where you're buying a raw material from, or shipping? So you basically have to have a proper inside knowledge you can from the market to understand how is each company performing. Is your vendors getting bankrupted? Is your company getting bankrupted? And you have to have all this clear visibility, insights, market insights of how the companies or industries are functioning. Now you happen to see automobiles are not performing well, so you have to understand how the raw material, what's the raw material cost of impact, or customers not buying the products. So you have to analyze all this, and then comes spend analytics. Oh, where am I spending? How am I spending? Okay, we are at 12:20, and then comes MS Excel. Excel is also a very important role, and if you are not working, if some organization do not work on ERP, so you have to have that Excel capabilities, pivot table, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, have a grip of building data structure, negotiation skills. If you are into purchasing, you have to have a negotiation skill. You have to negotiate. Your vendors might try to influence you over the pricing. You have to negotiate, get the prices down. You have to break them. So you have to use different strategies to, you have to develop these strategies and negotiation skills, business communication skills. The more you have a good business communication skills, you will develop yourself. You'll, grow up as on the ladder of this corporate world. Then we have technical roles, understanding, when it comes to technical roles, you have to understand how the ERP functions, what are the different types of ERP, how the ERP development is happening, like SAP, different types of ERPs, nothing but SAP, Ariba, and so on. So if you have any particular requirement or, interest towards any particular ERP, you have to have a clear understanding of how it works and how the company is going to implement, function it, and develop it. And business understanding, or how the business functions, or how the organizational structure works, how does you need to tailor it. What is the soft skills that you need to have for as a consultant role? Though if you are a consultant, some companies, some industries, or if you're working for a consulting firm, your customers may not be open, feasible, or happy to share all the information with you. So they try to keep it limited, depending on considering that they don't want to share everything with you, and they don't want you to take over their processes and so on. So you might have that. I don't get the term right now. They'll have that factor of losing their job, so they might not share all that information with you. So you have to be really comfortable. You have to be very polite. You have to ensure go smoothly with them. So those are the such skills you have to build yourself to get the grips on those consulting roles as a ERP consultant. And then we have some references here, some links here, if you want to get yourself self-certified, but don't just go, if you're a fresher, just don't go into the market, take up a supply chain courses. Yes, you can do it, but if you are financially stable, pick up a small courses like from IIM. There's a lot of courses. Then there is Apex. Apex is one of the most recognized body in supply chain management, where your certification is recognized globally. And if you want to go to Middle East or any other countries, this is going to be a little expensive at the same time. But if you have this kind of certifications, you have an added advantage to your CV there. And I have a certification from Next Level Purchasing, which is SPSM, Senior Professional in Supply Chain Management, which is again a US-based organization, and which they train your people for supply chain related activities, folks. So, but you can go ahead and gain knowledge. There's a lot of market insights, publishes articles being published, everything. So a lot of notifications comes up every now and then. So you can refer these or all these. And what is supply chain? If you further want to investigate, do a deep dive on this subject, you can go to Oracle. And there's again a lot of companies, IBM and all the other companies who publish a lot of articles every now and then. Talk about supply chain, procurement, inventory management, demand forecasting, and so on. You can still go visit them, refer those websites. And then we also have, this is a very important link that I'm sharing here, is open.sap.com. This is an important tool where if you want to go learn about SAP related tools or applications, you can enroll yourself, you can go register yourself, you can take up the courses online with your own pace, but ensure that once you take up a course like on Ariba, there are a lot of modules, different modules. They will also give you understanding of how ERP functions, different kind of platform integration platforms, and so on. You can learn a quick learn a lot about how SAP works, SAP functions. This is a very important link here. I'll paste it here in the chat section also as well. So go ahead, refer this, get yourself enrolled. It's a very good to link here there. And there are other small other links to the various organizations. Gartner is one of the again, it's a very important or very important industry in the market where they do a lot of surveys. They run a lot of surveys. They evaluate from responses from various industries. Basically, they are into surveys and doing analysis. Gartner, if you can go ahead and do a lot of research on Gartner, get the information insights from the business, market insights, understanding how the market is performing, what industries were performing, how is healthcare industry, how is the automotive industry, how are IT industry performing. You can get a lot of research as they do a lot of research in the industry sector, market area. And I come here at the end of my session. I thank you all, and I'm open here for question and answers. As per I'll try my best to answer all those. Thank you.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
Jazakallah.
I'm sorry if I've been a little fast on this session.
No problem. Alhamdulillah, it was excellent presentation. You have fed a lot of information to us. I think we will take some time to digest all these things, but definitely it will be helping us to understand the entire chain. So we already have a couple of questions in the chat window.
Okay.
So we'll take those things one by one.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay. From your slide, when you were talking about different ERPs, right? So you had given about Oracle and Microsoft thing. You talked about 2-tier and 3-tier. So can you get us some examples from the 2-tier and 3-tier, and what does that mean?
So basically, a 2-tier and 3-tier here is small companies. There are a lot of new companies coming up in the market, like Tradeshift, which I have got recently implemented in my company. Okay, so such tools there is iValva, there is sourcing tools. There are a lot of new tools coming up in the market. Who is getting a new market share? Since every company cannot afford to go with SAP or Oracle, Microsoft, because it will cost you a lot of dollars, and it is not easy to buy those. And it is good for to companies who can afford spending a huge money on this. So such companies are coming up, getting a market share with working with small enterprises, medium enterprises, and getting a market share and conquering those market share and becoming a equal competitors to SAP or Ariba and Microsoft here. I hope I answered your question here.
Yeah, Jazakallah. So hope Sohail bhai, you had the same question. So
yeah, I had the same question. Jazakallah.
Yeah, Jazakallah.
If you want, I can give you all the list of other ERPs which are coming up.
Yeah, fine.
In the market.
So for freshers, right, most of the freshers now will have a question here from different background, mechanical or any other stream. So how they can get ready for the SCM job? So what skills they need? Will they be able to seek a job with just getting these training?
So for engineers, they have an added advantage because there are a lot of manufacturing industries who look for engineers who can understand the drawings, which your non-engineering graduate will lack. Okay, then I'm not denying that non-engineering graduates are they lack wisdom or knowledge. They do, but there's a lot of technical things that these engineering folks gets as a gift, while going through engineering programs. So you will have an added advantage working at a manufacturing industries or consulting firms to understand the drawings capabilities. So what I would suggest for those folks here is upgrade your Excel knowledge. Have a clear visibility of what sectors that you want to explore, like automotive, semiconductors again, and MRO, maintenance, repair, operation. So you have to have a little visibility to what sector you want to do a proper research all the time. Get into different platforms, job platforms. Understand, look based on your experience level. Start reviewing all those job opportunities. Look at what are the expertise they are looking at. Basically, if you have a good communication skill, Excel knowledge, and understanding of your domain, automotive domain, or domain that you want to get into it, and that should really help. That should be sufficient enough to get you a good job, get you onto a profile that you want to, and you can surely perform really well. And you can based on your capability, if you think you have a more high potential, and if you can grab more knowledge, you can absorb more knowledge, you can grow up the ladder easily.
Okay. And we have many freshers, they get into BPO job to get started somewhere, and they are not directly into the technical rights, and after a couple of years they wanted to come back to the technical stream. So for them also, you can advise, what is your suggestion for them?
So my suggestion to BPO folks here, people who have already got into it because they did not have a right direction, start, upgrading your knowledge. Okay, start upgrading your knowledge. Start reading about supply chain management. See if that is aligned with your requirement. You have to have a passion towards anything, whatever you want to do in your life. So unless you don't have a passion, I don't think so you will find a solution. I had a passion, and I was running for a passion because I did not have anybody to guide me up. Because even I was, lacking a vision initially, and I started doing a research about procurement, purchasing. I happened to meet a Accenture professional. Okay, he was a procurement manager that time, and I happened to see his visiting card. It got really inspired me, and I was like wondering what is procurement purchasing, and I started exploring, I started researching, I started doing a study. Then I slowly took up my MBA in operations, supply chain management. I started picking up the knowledge. So I would always suggest you people to start doing a lot of research. Research is very important, and make sure that your interest is towards that. My interest is towards purchasing. I want to purchase, I want to spend money, man. I want to spend money for my company. I want to spend my money on myself. So I want to make a best out of it, out of my profession. So you have to have that interest towards working with that, and slowly you can, if you want to, you have a lot of great opportunities. If you start climbing those stairs, you have a very good opportunity. As you grow up, you can become a sourcing lead, category managers, and purchasing heads. CPO is one of the most top position at the company level, who reports to your CEO. It's called Chief Procurement Officer. So if you reach at those levels, it's nothing like that. You have a very, very, very good bright career if you are really dedicated. If you want to dedicate yourself and want to grow, come up in your career. So you have to slowly start doing a research. Again, coming back to your question, start doing the research about what topic you want to, because it's a vast area. Whether you want to go into demand, forecasting, warehouse management, what is in your experience level of areas. Try to share your CVs, send across your CVs to the people. Try to follow up with those folks to understand if they can do anything, if they can come online. Put a soft note to them, and you will slowly get into that role. If you're not at a very high level, high level might be too much for you to observe. So slowly start getting a knowledge and start getting into a small role, and slowly get all knowledge, and as you can climb it further.
Okay, I think it's a good explanation. I would suggest you come up with one slide for the transformation mantra.
Sure, I'll take a note on this.
Jazakallah. So there is another question from brother Shahzad. I think before that, Muhammad Abdul Qadir, he talked about the students from the BTech and BTech mechanical. I think you already addressed this question, right? So any background, they can just start adopting the same method, right?
Yeah, I mean, supply chain is not limited only to non-IT or IT technical background folks here, education. If you have a BCom, BBA, BCA, BBM, you can still go ahead and do it. BA, you can do it. The only important thing you need to have is a good analytical skill, Excel, and communication skill.
Okay.
So you have this 3 things, you can surely grow up. There are a lot of people who have just done BA and have reached to a CPO level. CPO level is considered as one of the most top level in the procurement or supply chain organization at
Okay.
organization level. So people have done, they have come up, they have done it, they have started gaining a lot of knowledge. They verticals, domains like non-IT, IT. Non-IT is basically your administration, management. If you have a facility, how do you manage it? What are the operational activities you are supposed to run? How much manpower is required? For a technical guy, B guys, more of manufacturing industry would be more suitable because they have got a lot of technical expertise, drawings, production, experience, knowledge. So for them, it is another level. For non B graduates, it becomes a little difficult. So, but I'm not restricting them only to stick here. But if they have the potential in themselves, knowledge, there are a lot of people who have a potential of exploring their capabilities at a later level. So if they have, they are all welcome to do so. They can do that. So there's nothing limited to that.
Yeah. So there is a question from Shahzad Bhai from Pune. He's asking how to enter or get experience in the SCM. Does an executive MBA for working professionals help?
So first thing, start SCM, right? So first thing what you need to do is do a small research, read some books. Books really helps you, get good understanding of how the supply chain works. Then get aligned with your requirement as what is your interest. Is it planning, demand forecasting, spend analytics, or you want to be in finance, accounts payable, receivable. So determine what is your interest and then slowly get deeper into it, that particular subject, that particular vertical, and start applying for it, and then start progressing in the same role that you have determined that this is my interest at the end of the day.
Okay. So another question from him: is international import-export a total different expertise? Appreciate if you could provide more details or guide to other resources like executive MBA programs, etc.
See, it is when I say everything here is a different vertical, okay, different expertise, because I could not cover up everything within such a short time, because every subject, when I talk about production management, inventory control, warehouse, and so on, these are huge subjects. It looks very simple here when I'm just talking about it, but when you go into it, there are a lot of operational skills, processes, there are a lot of tools which has been implemented to run this operation. It's a big network. Supply chain network is a big network, very, very big network. And getting expertise in one particular domain like IT is a very big sector. Similarly, supply chain is a very big vast subject where you have to develop. If you want to develop your expertise, you have to get into it, spend about 3 to 4 years, 5 years to get a basic knowledge, understanding of it, and then slowly migrate to the next level that you want to get into it. So import export is again a different level, but import export can be considered as an individual business. People can start their own enterprises. For that, they have to pick up a knowledge in XM. XM is a website, government website, which talks about all the regulations, policies. There are a set of hundreds of policies that you have to go through, regulations that you have to go through, how you can buy your import export licenses. You need a import export licenses to start up your own business. Then you can work with the firms, do a consulting firm to them. You can, because all the organizations, industries does not have a capability of having this knowledge. So you have to build your knowledge, and you have to sell your knowledge, experience, or that you want to, if you want to start up as an entrepreneur, you can start your import export business that way by getting an import export license, understanding what are the largest exports that we are making, what is the largest imports that we are getting, and how do you think you have that capability? Because it is you cannot just sit for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months and say that, okay, I want to start a business. If you can do it. I'm not denying it, and I'm not degrading anyone here. Yes, you can do it. You have to have that interest, passion towards doing it. If you have that, you can do it.
Okay.
Go for it. I can also share you. I'll put a note. I'll take a note and I'll share you the link where you can. I have some certain documents that I can share it across with you. But this changes every year and year, so you have to keep yourself upgraded when it comes to import export, because the custom charges changes, the regulation changes, what you can import, what you cannot import. You have a lot of things you have to upgrade every year on year. How is duty to duty free? What is duty to duty free? What is different types of logistics? What is different types of freight forwarding and all that? You have to know that. What are the insurance? How do you take insurance? How do you when you book a ship or a container in a ship? How do you buy it? So you have to have a clear understanding of how does that import export works. Hope I answer your questions.
Jazakallah. So you can share your number and email ID so that people can ask question offline as well.
Sure, I'll do that. Yeah,
In
inshallah.
the chat window itself, you can do that. And there is another question from brother Imran. If retailer cancels the order and I have already planned for production, how do I manage such situation?
So Imran, what I suggest you, if retailer has already cancelled the order, okay, so you can, and if you have a production house for that, producing that particular order, so you can, if you have to ensure that has the production moved into has the order moved into production or not. If you have not moved that into production, you might have terms and conditions with your vendor, your supplier, to see if you have an agreement in place that he can take it back the goods. That way you can save the cost. If not, you can ensure that if you're a retailer, big retailer, you can and you have multiple chains, you can see if there's a requirement in whether in other retail shops of such order, that so that you can push that order to those particular outlets. You can use those analytical skills, and you can also you have to determine what is the cost, and see if you can get your production cost at least by making a deal out of it with your customers, or if you already have a good contract in place with your customer, or after placing the order, you can charge him certain fees and you can claim back your money if you are at a big loss of production.
Okay.
Hope I answer your question. Does that make it simplified? To if you're not you can try to avoid you can try avoiding the risk, but if you have already taken up a risk, you can try mitigating the risk. I'm just telling you the possibilities of how you at first stage you have to plan it in such a way that you can try to avoid it. Say that, okay, I am a retailer, and if I have taken an order, if I have a agreement with my customer saying that, okay, he's going to order this, but later he turned up, then I'm going to implement certain fees on this, saying that, okay, since this was a specialized or niche order only prepared for this customer, he has to pay certain amount so that I cover up my operational cost. If I don't have that optional liberty to do that, I should try to mitigate the risk, because I cannot completely take the risk on myself, because I'm going to take a big impact. So I have to slowly take a mitigation plan of how do I mitigate the risk? Who are the other outlets that I have? Do I have a requirement coming in from such outlets? Can I push this order to that place where it can move fastly, or can I reduce the price a little where it can move it, or is it a place online platform where I can push this product immediately? So you can try exploring such possibilities there.
Okay. So here we have another 3 questions from brother Rakesh Kumar. So he's asking, what is importance of lead time in procurement cycle?
Okay, I'll come one by one. So let's come to the first question. What is the importance of lead time? Lead time is very important, because say if I do not have a proper lead time, I place an order, okay, with a vendor. Now my vendor says I have 15 days of lead time. Say by April 15th, I am 15 days, okay. So now by April 20th, I am supposed to have my production start, okay. I should ensure my purchase order is released. All the engagement discussion has happened today and released tomorrow, because my production should begin with April 28th. And if I don't release my order by today or tomorrow, I'm losing my time. A day will impact on it. And if my day is impacted, instead of getting those raw materials or material getting shipped on 28th, it will get shipped on 21st. So my production is delayed for entire one day, and there's no production activity happening at my production plant. So I'm just paying my employees, I'm paying for my electricity bill, I'm paying for my facilities, I'm paying for my entire facility cost for a day without any making profit out of it. So end of the day, I'm taking a hit on my production entire process. Does that answer your question, Rakesh?
Yes, sir. Right.
Okay, now coming to your second question, major challenges related to the supply chain that companies are currently facing. Companies are facing challenges in terms of, they do not want, Indian companies are not really matured enough to take up a supply chain. But since large companies are, having lead time delays, they are facing quality issues, warranty issues, proper vendor governance is not done, suppliers are not delivering on time, projects are getting impacted, and customer is demanding something, the outcome is something else. And the biggest challenge today in this, the biggest challenge I would say is the cost, reduction of cost. How do you control your cost? How do you reduce your cost is the basic, foremost challenge, I can say, challenge to anything. Because you see a lot of demand are getting in the market, raw material is getting increased, employers' salaries are, people want an increment every year, employers' salaries are getting. So controlling the cost is very important and is the biggest challenge in this. And companies are facing. And coming to your third question, what is the vendor selection criteria by procurement team? There's a lot of vendor selection criteria depending on the industries. Basis what how's the labor laws, what is the quality. So engineering products has a different set of quality standards. How much how much kind of steel, what is thickness, what is the what raw material that has those chemical properties, physical properties, dimensions, and all that. And how is the vendor performed in the past? How is the financial conditions of that particular vendor? So such are the criteria that they have to look for in the vendor. As a vendor procurement criteria. Is this select on price and payment terms? No, this is not entirely depending on price and payment terms, because there are a lot of other factors in every procurement activity.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So we have another question from Brother Naveed. For analytics professional, what should be the next, SCM or sales marketing?
So, see, analytics professional can get into anything. It is not only keeping you limited to only supply chain. You can get into sales and marketing, because you can also analyze your sales, understanding how your sales is performing every 6 months, every quarter, every 2 quarters, 3 years, 1 year, a year, 5 years, 3 years. So you have to, analytical skills is basically your intelligence to understand the data, present the data, get the key insights of the data. So you don't necessarily have to limit yourself to supply chain or sales or marketing. You can explore finance, you can explore other verticals, HR, you can explore, project management. Everywhere you need analytical, because see, now in my current session, I have 22 participants. Now it has come to 15. So basically, I'm trying to do analysis. How is my presentation going? Is it effective, not effective? Did I communicate to the vendor? So analytical skills is basically you should have that insight to develop and get an output of the problem. So you not necessarily you can limit yourself to supply chain or management. You can explore.
What would be your suggestion? I basically work as a data analyst, so yeah, with that context, what would be your suggestion?
See, what is your overall experience, Navid?
It's around 3 years.
3 years. And what areas have you worked?
I'll be joining KPMG. I'll be joining KPMG next month.
And which vertical have you worked in?
Mainly till now, I was in telecom domain, but now I'm planning for FMCG probably. It depends on what project I get into in KPMG basically.
KPMG is a consulting firm, so if you're getting into KPMG, do not worry, because you will not work with only telecom industry or some XYZ vertical. You will work with different verticals. You should have an understanding of how different verticals are working. So supply chain is good for now. Sales and marketing is also good, but at the same time, you have to predict and do a forecasting analysis, all those different types of analysis, predictive analysis, to understand how these verticals will perform. I am sure both are good. Both can do well as long as you are keeping yourself updated on the functional knowledge of those departments. If I'm giving you a supply chain data, you have to come out, give me a insights of what is the key insights of the data. So that should be your entire motive behind that.
Like inventory management, we call it, right?
I can give you inventory management. I can give you purchasing data. So depending on the data, if I give you Navid, hey Navid, I have this particular data of spend. I have spent on this company. Can you analyze? Have I spent wisely or not wisely? So if you look into the data, you should be able to understand. See, if I have brought hard disk, I have paid multiple prices from multiple vendors. So you should be able to give me an analytics. Hey Yusuf, you have brought this hard disk from XYZ vendors at a different price. If you could have brought it to the particular vendor after negotiating, discussing, or having a contract negotiated, you can have got a better deal out of it. So you have to have those analytical skills.
Correct. Understood. Yeah, one last quick thing here. So as already previously asked, so
can we just pause for 2 minutes? Is Zaza happening? Can we just pause it for 2 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hassan, give us 2 minutes. No, Hassan is happening. Let's finish it and let's connect. Okay, I'm back. So, Navid, did I answer your question?
Yeah, Yusuf.
Okay.
Jazakallah. One last thing. So, as previously asked, so should we look for a proper degree for that? I mean, let's say an executive MBA or
No, Navid.
for that sense.
See, you are doing well.
Mhm.
KPMG is a very good company. It's very one of the top consulting firms. You're doing what? Good. I would say you start work with your people folks around there who has more knowledge. Get their knowledge. Explore a lot of things. A lot of your knowledge available on YouTube these days. Do a analytical research on those. Try to improve your knowledge, and as when you reach 4 or 5 years, you can start simultaneously do your MBA full time or part time depending on your financial conditions and feasibility. Take up a course and get an MBA for yourself. It's good to have an MBA at this stage since it will give you a boost in your career growth. Do it, but first initially look at gaining more and more knowledge. The knowledge what you gain is very important because you don't need a degree for anything. It's just a paper, but having a knowledge expertise is really what is important.
So there is
Correct.
another question in the
Yeah.
chat. How to tie up with companies like Amazon in warehousing or sales opportunities?
Okay, so for that, Amazon has a department where they bring in they partner with people who wants to start up a warehouse. Okay, I will check with one of my friend. He works with Amazon. Sometime back they started this activity where they were tying up with people for a warehouse. If they have a certain space area requirement, they tie up, and if the people are also potential of delivering those stuff to the customers, they tie up with them. I can check. If you can drop me a note, I can check with them and get back to you. Are you located from Bangalore or Hyderabad?
Brother Imran. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and talk.
Yeah, I'm located in Bangalore.
Okay, man, I'll just drop me a note. I will check and let you get back to you on this because I know a friend who was part of Amazon and he was into this project management of setting up the warehousing for the entire Bangalore and India locations. So I will check if he still has those opportunities open, and I'll try to connect you with him on that.
Okay. Yeah, so people can connect using LinkedIn connection as well. So if you want to share your WhatsApp number, you can share here. So any other question? Maybe you can take the last question.
No question. I think, this is Shams here. I show it as Ehsan because I'm not able to change my name. I think, Yusuf, it's a great session, Yusuf. I'm from supply chain, I have a lot of experience, but I think you covered almost everything, all the concepts. I think you use your MBA's knowledge to cover almost all the concepts. I think great session. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan. I hope I just did what I could. I
had taken a session for WMS, I think few months back. I think that was specifically on WMS. I think you covered almost the whole of supply chain. Great session. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mashallah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very deep, mashallah.
It's a very deep subject. I mean, you cannot cover it in a day or a day also. Not just forget about an hour. You cannot cover it in a day. You need
it's an ocean. It's an ocean, right?
It's an ocean again.
Take months. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Alhamdulillah, very excellent session. A lot of QA question answers were also there. Very interesting questions. I think we have a lot of things to take back. And the key point, what Brother Yusuf has mentioned, is you just go on researching what best you can learn and then market yourself. So that is the key message what we are getting for any people from any background. If you want to get into SCM, and this is the key thing you need to adopt. Jazakallah. So, and from the participant, if you want to share your knowledge, you can reach out to us. So you can also share your knowledge, so we can have webinars from you. So, and if you want some specific topic, you can reach out to us. We can reach out to the expertise in the, again, ocean. We have experts throughout the globe, so we can reach out to anyone. Now, being the new normal, it has become easy for us to reach out to anyone. Okay, Jazakallah. Thanks for your patience and taking out your Sunday time for upskilling yourself, getting aware of what's going around. It's a good sign to progress in your career. And I sincerely thank from bottom of my heart to Brother Yusuf. We keep, inshallah, engaging in further sessions as well. Jazakallahu khairan kasira. So as I said, so the recordings will be available in a couple of days in tiny URL /MFIRD. And if you want to see other recordings that has already happened, you can reach out there as well. Jazakallah. So if no questions, I can end it here. Right?
Anybody, any questions, or should we pack up for now?
Yeah, let's go back and have a delicious lunch. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining and making this happen.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you for MFIRD. Thank you for giving this platform there.
Yes.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum.